Hello and welcome to this instructional video on how to install your wall-mounted ArtMaster. Everything that you need to install your ArtMaster and assemble it is all contained within this box. So the first thing that we're going to do is to remove the small parts box and put that aside. We're then going to take out the ArtMaster carefully, holding it at the two long extrusions. We're then going to place it on top of the box so that we don't get it scratched. So we're going to open the small parts box. Firstly, remove the wall mount brackets, spare parts, all the small components you need to assemble it, and finally, this is the part that you'll eventually connect your putter to. Within the small parts bag, we have a wing nut with an M10 bolt, a wing nut with an M6 bolt, a wing nut with a nut, two smaller wing nuts, and your universal adapter, and this will eventually connect to your putter shaft. And within your spare parts envelope, you'll find an additional assembly, which is the equivalent of these two joined together, and also an additional small wing nut. We're now going to move around the ArtMaster, starting in this area here that we call the neck of the product, and this is telescopic. This will move up and down to adjust with the user. We're going to use the wing nuts in order, starting from here, moving to there. Finally, with the end point here, we'll attach this section. Okay, so using one of the smaller wing nuts, we're going to go over to the neck of the product. Now we pre-install a locking nut onto the underside of that. And what we're going to do is insert the wing nut and we're going to loosely tighten that. You do not need to over tighten this at all. It's just a matter of getting it on there so it holds in position. Okay, the next area, probably the most tricky part of the assembly. Now this should come with an M6 nylon washer attached to the bolt just in there. We're going to insert that through this hole, rotate this 90 degrees and pass that through the product. Using this nut, we're then going to loosely tighten them together. That's perfect. Taking the M10 wing nut, which should also come with a nylon washer, we're going to go over to the top side of this area and insert that just through here. That's going to lock into an M10 locking nut on the inside. We don't have to put that in too much, probably just there, leaving an inch gap in this area here. Okay, I've got my final small wing nut now, and I'm just looking at this area here. There's a hole in the top, and again, we've pre-populated the locking nut on the underside. I'm going to put that in, a few turns, not too tight. I'm just going to leave that there for now. Using the Allen key supplied, we're now going to look at this area here where we've pre-installed 3 bolts loosely. I'm just going to remove them. You'll notice they come with a split washer on. So just gently remove them anti-clockwise. And then bringing in this component, I'm going to place those neatly in there. If first you can put the outer 2 in and just finger tighten them into position. The final one should go in the center, just like that. Using the Allen key, we can then tighten them up. Leaving us now ready to go over to the wall to install the 2 wall brackets. So we've now come over to the surface in which we're going to install our ArtMaster upon. In this scenario, we're installing into 25mm MDF. If you are installing into brickwork or blockwork, you will need to use the alternative fittings that we've provided. In this scenario, it's simply wood screws. Every ArcMaster comes with a drilling guide, and this is positioned on the wall, and it allows you to accurately drill all the holes needed to fix the wall brackets to the surface. We took a lot of time and attention over the packaging of the ArcMaster, and the drill guide must be placed 14.5 inches off the ground, which is the exact same size as this box stood in this orientation. So putting this on the ground, the drill template should be placed exactly like that against the wall, just as I'm about to show you right now. It's really important to make sure that we install the drill guide in a perfectly vertical position. This is the anchoring point for the ArcMaster and results in perfect use of the product. We wanted to get the ArcMaster set up in such a perfect position that we're using a laser guide. These are available from your local homeware store for about £30, $30, depending on where you are in the world. You can use a spirit level, of course, but using a laser level is far easier and it allows you to use both hands at the same time. I'm just using some low tack tape to fix this to the wall because I don't want to peel off the paint on the structure behind it. So doing it this way ensures that I can remove this afterwards without damaging the surface. So it's really important that we take our time to ensure that this step is correct. I've put this on a few times and I've taken it off just to make sure I'm happy with it, but we're now ready to come over with the drill to drill the pilot holes into the wood. And I'm going to use the 3mm drill bit that we've provided just to ensure that all the screws are centered exactly where we want them to go. Your ArcMaster will come with 2 wall mount brackets. Now we pre-install the 2 M5 bolts here, so you'll need to loosen these before you can fit the ArcMaster. But right now that's okay because we're going to concentrate on how we fit these to the wall. We've just installed the 4 wood screws at the bottom. We're now going to turn our attention to the upper wall bracket. I've just put the first screw in there, into the pilot hole, and I'm just going to screw that in by hand. And it's really important that this is done with a screwdriver and not an electric drill. Electric drills are a little bit too powerful for the 3D printed parts that we're using, whereas a hand screwdriver allows you to put that in with just the right torque to hold that into position without splitting the part or splitting the surface behind. There we go. Now this is always better with 2 people, but in this instance I'm going to show you how to successfully install an ArcMaster with just 1 person. Now you remember that each of the wall brackets came with 4 bolts. I've taken those out and I'm holding them in my left hand. I've also got the Allen key that we supply with the ArcMaster. I'm going to open up the wall brackets, again with the bolts and the Allen key in my respective hands. Pick up the ArcMaster. I'm going to insert that into the upper wall bracket, and you'll notice that the neck fits snugly in position just there. Now at no time have I ever let go. I may have moved my hands around, but I haven't let go. So using the bolts, I'm going to put one into the top hole, and using the Allen key I'm going to fix that in position. And once we've got one Allen key in position, we can then let go of the assembly and it will hold itself into position. I'm then going to work down the wall brackets, bolt by bolt, ensuring that each one is hand tightened using the Allen key. Congratulations, your ArcMaster is now on the wall. We've got a full video on our website instructing you on how to set this up for each individual user, and that's been created by Dr. Paul Hurian of Quintic. What I want to show you now is just the basic movements, how to adjust it, so when you've got it on the wall, you can start to interact with the ArcMaster. Coming over to the top, this is the fine adjustment, and this will change the angle of the swing arm. This area here, when loosened, will allow the ArcMaster to vertically rise up to change the radius of the arc. Okay, so we adjust the angle of the swing arm by using the wing nut on the top And if you look at the digital level meter on the side, you can see that we can adjust that down to even 0.1 of a degree. Once we've achieved the correct angle, we then lock that off using the two wing nuts on the side. It's really important that we don't over tighten them, just finger tight is enough, just to prevent any movement at this joint here. Coming down to the lower section of the product, we use the smaller wing nut to loosen and then vertically move the telescopic tube inside just there. The correct height should be roughly 120 millimeters from the ground when complete. Okay, the Artmaster's on the wall. We've now got to attach the universal adapter to our favourite putter. Looking at the adapter, you'll see the Artmaster logo. Now imagine that's an A. If that's the right way up, you've got the adapter, the correct orientation. Moving over to the putter, we want to align this rubber groove and this rubber groove to be parallel with the shaft. So placing the first half on, folding the second half around, we can grip that into position. What we're aiming for though is for the face of the putter to be parallel with this edge here. You will get the opportunity to adjust that in just a moment, but let's now start to put the bolts into position. And our starting point should have a gap of approximately 4 millimeters just in this space here. That will allow us to clamp onto the shaft with a nice tight grip. Okay, so I've just taken the time to correctly position this. So the A should be on the visible shaft side up here, pointing towards the handle. And you'll notice that this face here is perfectly parallel with here. If I just flip the putter over, you'll see that where I've got it, I've got a slight gap here and a slight gap there, and I'm just going to ever so slightly adjust the Allen keys. Now, depending on the diameter of the shaft and also the taper of the shaft, you should always see a small gap and a larger gap, just because of the change in diameter of the shaft as it travels up towards the handle. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining the Artmaster family. The last thing to do is attach this to the Artmaster just over here, just like that, and we're ready to go.